Nako, grabe ka sinungaling talaga. Talagang magkapatid talaga tong sinungaling at magnanakaw. Magnanakaw pa, sinungaling pa. Makikita mo talaga the way he speaks. Puro flowering words and so on and so forth. But not by heart talaga mga Kadonatics. Ganyan yung mga typical politicians na walang ginagawa kundi kumurap. Can you imagine? Zero liabilities? Of course. Bakit? Kuha ng kuha lang. Kurap ng kurap. Hindi namimigay. Hindi binabalik sa taong bayan. And then he has the audacity to impeach Sara Duterte over 125 million? Tahok!
Where you allegedly paid $20,000 for dinner.
Okay.
Did you pay $20,000 for dinner?
No, I didn't pay for a $20,000 dinner, and I think that's all I can say about that.
You didn't pay for that, but then if you look at the old articles, is Malacanang had said you hosted and paid for it. Now you, in 2014, you are the 9th richest politician in the Philippines with declared assets of 474 million pesos and zero liabilities.
What?
How did you get this rich? Now, speaking of your father, I know he's passed away, but at one point he was recognized by Forbes as the 30th richest man in the Philippines with a net worth of 3.3 billion pesos.
Father niya.
Would you agree to that? As the host.
Hello mga Kadonatics! May nag-resurface na video, viral siya ngayon, kung saan si Karen Davila tinanong si Tambaluslos patungkol sa kanyang kayamanan. Patawa-tawa pa ang Tambaluslos mga Kadonatics. Makikita mo sa video na to kung gaano siya kakurap. Natatandaan nyo, siya ang namumuno sa pagpatalsik kay Inday Sara Duterte sa House of Representatives. Biruin mo, House Speaker lang siya. Gustong patalsikin ang nasa itaas niya. Of course, back up by bangag presidente. But focus muna tayo dito sa kanya. Makikita natin kung gaano talaga kakurap to. Over 125 million gustong patalsikin si Inday Sara Duterte. 125 million confidential fund. From the word confidential, hindi pwedeng alamin sa publiko. Pero anong ginagawa ng Kongreso? Pati piso gustong alamin kung saan napunta. Confidential nga kasi malalaman ng mga kontrabida, mga rebelde, kung paano sila pinaghahandaan yung mga information na kailangan may budget. Di yan pwede alamin, pero sa Kongreso, lahat gustong alamin. Ang confidential fund ng presidente, ayaw man lang, kahit bilyon-bilyon. It does not sound right. Before natin panonoorin yung kay Tambaluslos, panonoorin muna natin yung short video ni BBM in recent campaign ng Alyansa ng mga Bangag sa Pilipinas, kung saan yung scriptwriter nila, ewan ko, napaka-weak talaga ng substance ng sinasabi niya. Or, hindi na siya nag-follow ng script. It's just out of the abundance of heart, the mouth speaketh. Panonoorin na lang natin.
Unang araw pa lang na sila'y uupo, pag nanuklok sila sa Senado, unang araw pa lang, hindi na po sila mag-OJT. Alam na nila ang trabaho. Alam na nila ang gagawin nila. Alam na nila ang problema na hinaharap ng ating mga kababayan. At alam nila kung paanong gawin para bigyan ng counting tulong. Ang lahat ng ating kababayan.
Ewan ko na lang. Alam na daw nila kung paano bigyan ng kaunting tulong yung kababayan natin. Alam ng mga senators niya kung paano tayo bigyan ng kaunting tulong. Kaunti na pala. Pinahamak pa yung mga senatorial candidates niya. Ay nako, nagpulburon nata dito bago. Anyway, punta na tayo kay Tamba. Yung interview niya with Karen Davila. You know, si Karen Davila, maanghang din yung dila. Grabe makatanong kahit sino tatanungin na napaka-controversial. Alright? Okay, let's go.
You mentioned the SALN where, of course, public officials reveal or state just how much they're worth. Now, you, in 2014, you are the 9th richest politician in the Philippines with declared assets of 474 million pesos and zero liabilities.
What?
How did you get this rich?
Well, I was a lawyer before I became a congressman. I still am. And I was in the corporate world. I was able to rise up the ranks of some corporate boards. I even ended up becoming the chairman of Equitable Banking Corporation and the chairman of Blanket Corporation, the oldest mining corporation in the Philippines. And we were behind some of the biggest mergers in the country. So, well, we were very lucky and fortunate to make the right investments and decisions then.
Yeah. Who has zero liabilities in government? Only you.
Huh?
All right, okay.
I'm old-fashioned. My father never wanted to have utang.
Okay. Now, speaking of your father, I know
Corrupt
he's
na
passed
corrupt lang
away,
naman.
but at one point he was recognized by Forbes as the 30th richest man in the Philippines with a net worth of 3.3 billion pesos.
Father niya.
Would you agree to that?
Well, I guess that's per their records, and I don't know how they come to that, but then again, I'm not going to contest anything because that's what they put out.
Now, would you consider your father a Marcos crony or someone who has benefited from the dictatorship or leadership of Marcos, him being the brother of Imelda Marcos?
He wasn't a crony. He was the brother-in-law of President Marcos. He was a governor for about 20 years, and he
But
served
where
as
would he get 3.3 billion? I mean, in net worth.
Ayun.
Where would someone in government get 3.3 billion?
I guess he had some investments as well. I was much younger then,
Okay.
so I didn't know his business transactions. But then again, there have been cases, and all of these cases revolving the PCGG and the anti-graft, most of them already been dismissed, particularly the anti-graft cases. So the records speak for themselves, and I guess Forbes wouldn't come out with those figures if they were derived from spurious sources.
Do you think any of your father's wealth was illegally acquired?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so. All right, I'm gonna, since you mentioned the PCGG, I'm gonna go on to read this. In 1986, after Marcos fled, the PCGG listed at least 61 corporations where your father was said to have acquired shares illegally. Now, you may be asking, this is the same Bongbong Marcos question.
Okay.
Why are you asking Bongbong Marcos about issues related to his father? Well, of course, because when you get into a national post, decisions you make, this is what the taxpayer believes, eventually affect, of course, your whole family.
Yes.
All right? So I want to ask you, all right, Benguet Corporation was mentioned, First Philippine Holdings, Mantrade then, part of Meralco, Shell, PCI Bank, among others. So, if I were going to ask you today, your brother, you had mentioned, is still a shareholder of Benguet Corp.
Yes, he's a member of the board. Yeah,
Okay.
members of the board.
How did your family get into Benguet Corp?
Well, I believe these were investments made earlier on. And as I said, if there were any criticisms or accusations with respect to the provenance of these assets, they were all basically dismissed and they were cleared. So everything's good.
All right. So, you know, during the time of Marcos and even Cory Aquino, the Romualdezes, in a sense, were low-key in terms of national public service. Now that you're getting into the national limelight, are you prepared for all these documents and accusations to be dug up once again? I mean, it's not easy being a Romualdez in public office.
Well, what is? Nothing in life is really that easy. But then, of course, we're ready because there's nothing to hide. We're very transparent about it. And I'm for the FOI. I'm all for presenting my statements of assets and liabilities to the public. We were actually one of the first to do that in the 14th Congress. And so we're ready for it. And it's just, as they say, par for the course. When you put yourself here in the national consciousness, then obviously you should be ready for all the criticisms and whatever accusations, and you've got to discharge yourself accordingly. And we've got nothing to hide, so we put ourselves there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're here for a higher purpose, and that's to bring back, as I say, malasakit to the government. And we have a duty, we have a job to help our region. It's very, very easy to retreat back into the private sector, to be anonymous, and just to do your own thing. But I cannot turn my back on the people in our region who suffered so much and who need so much more help. I can only do so much from my private sector position, but I think I can do so much more. As a senator, the most important role is legislation. And Karen, the most important piece of legislation is the budget.
Okay, before we go to the budget, I'm going to finish this part first.
Sure.
And then we're going to move on to issues, the budget, your advocacy. Do you remember when you first got into the national consciousness?
My goodness.
I
You
remember.
should tell me.
I remember. you first got into the national consciousness as Martin Romualdez, as Congressman Martin Romualdez, when you were named, this could bring back bad memories, as the host of President Arroyo's dinner in Le Cirque,
Okay.
where you allegedly paid $20,000 for dinner.
Okay.
Did you pay $20,000 for dinner?
No, I didn't pay for a $20,000 dinner, and I think that's all I can say about that.
You didn't pay for that, but then if you look at the old articles, is Malacanang had said you hosted and paid for it.
Can't say I have because I didn't.
So who paid for that dinner? Because
really
if
don't
you
know.
Google Martin Romualdez and Le Cirque,
Sinungaling talaga.
it will say that you paid for that dinner. I mean it.
Well-
so you didn't pay for it.
No.
You're on the record, huh?
Yes.
You're
yes.
on air.
I'm on air. I don't even know how much that dinner was. I was there, but I didn't pay for it.
So who paid for the dinner?
I don't know.
Yeah. Now,
I didn't pay for it.
but didn't you stand up for that dinner at one point? When GMA was being hit, didn't you come out in an interview and say you hosted it? Never. You never did.
On the other hand, si Tambi po, nasa ko i-reveal sa inyo ha, for the first time. I have worked with him when I was congressman. Pareho ming first term congressman natong 2007 until 2010. Adong 2010, o padung na sa eleksyon, nakahibalo ko na 10 billion pesos was coursed through him. Kay namto siya posisyon sa party. So, gi-course ang 10 billion sa iyaha. So, nangayo ko sa iyaha. In ko, Martin, anyway, we're from the same region. Pwede ba akong humingi sa'yo ng pansimento ng kalsada ko? Kasi lubak-lubak yung kalsada ko sa Biliran. Biliran is an island, north of Leyte, west of Samar, south of Masbate. So, ingon siya na ako, ayog saba, sa uban. Ingon ko, di lagi ko magsaba. Abi ninyo mga kaigsunan, para kami mga magnanakaw nagtago doon sa gilid ng door ng session hall, sir. Kasi ayaw niya doon sa session hall ibigay ko yung letter, yung folder kasi may request yun, sir eh. Tapos sabi niya, "Wag tayo diyan." Di nagtago kami doon sa gilid ng window ng door para kami mga magnanakaw doon na nagtago-tago. Tapos binigay ko sa kanya, tinanggap niya. 2 years later, I found out 525 million pesos was released per that request. Pero walay karsadang ning abot sa akong distrito. Ang pangutanan ako kang Tambi, naasa ang 525 million. That's accountability. Oh. Wa pa ninyo na nahibaw it. This is the first time nga akong gisulti sa inyo sa katauhan. Oh. Ang tanong ko kay Tambi, nasaan ang 525 million na ni-request ko para sa kalsada ng distrito ko? Na-release yung pera, nawala ang kalsada. Walang dumating doon sa amin. Where did it go, Tambi? Oh. So imagine, there's a lot of hypocrisy in these people. They went after Inday Sara. Yung pala, mas malaki yung sa kanya eh. Remember, that's only 525 yung sa akin. What about the 10B? Baka wala ring dumating doon sa iba. And I think Mr. Tambi should start explaining himself to the public now that it's open, it's right out there.
Nako, grabe ka sinungaling talaga. Talagang magkapatid talaga tong sinungaling at magnanakaw. Magnanakaw pa, sinungaling pa. Makikita mo talaga the way he speaks. Puro flowering words and so on and so forth. But not by heart talaga mga kanonatics. Ganyan yung mga typical politicians na walang ginagawa kundi kumurap. Can you imagine? Zero liabilities? Of course. Bakit? Kuha lang, kurap ng kurap. Hindi namimigay. Hindi binabalik sa taong bayan. And then he has the audacity to impeach Sara Duterte over 125 million? Tahok!